Hi, my name is John Whelan, and welcome back to my house, the Delray Beach Real Estate Market Update for June 2024. I've got three things to talk about. Number one, recency bias. Number two, listing prices are falling. And number three, yep, days on market once again. But before we get in, what's this recency bias thing? I'll get into it. But right now, know that the city of Delray Beach is actually moving forward and away from a lot of bias that people have recently had. And I'm going to share with you some of the most current and local data that supports this. And also, please stick to the very end because I have one chart that I want to show that will give buyers and sellers who are thinking about doing business here in Florida confidence about our future. As well, my parting thoughts on the buyer-broker agreement. Yep, the settlement with the National Association of Realtors. All things change on August 17th, and I've got some ideas to share with you right now. Let's get started. So what is recency bias? Well, there's a lot of definitions to it, but here's the bottom line is it's really a big idea that clouds our judgment in the way we think. It's about we think that something that recently happened is true, but it may or not be true with more evidence. Think about shark attacks. What if you had a shark attack reported in your city last week that happened? You're going to have a recency bias that, I'm not going to go to the beach because there's shark attacks. But in reality, shark attacks around the globe is a very low probability. So you think that there's going to be shark attacks because that's what you just heard, but the probability is that's not the case whatsoever. So let's take a look at the first chart that gives us perfect evidence about what's happening with recency bias. So the best way to talk about recency bias is by looking at active listings. You see, in my free weekly e-letter for the last 10 months, all I've been talking about is rising inventory. By the way, if you want to be a part of my weekly e-letter, down below is the link. Click that, fill out your information, I'll get it to you right away. So I've been talking about how fast inventory starting last August was rising. Each week I'd have my inventory supply odometer reading, basically showing you how many each week it went up, by what percentage, and I talked about it month in, month out. But look at the active listing chart right here. It shows that from August of 2023, it raced higher all the way through the end of the year until March. And that was the narrative that then finally caught on with mainstream media. They started talking about rising inventory. That's gonna be softening prices, sellers. But guess what? Looking at this chart, everything peaked in March, and since March, April, May, June, there has been a flat line or possible slowing in the number of active listings in the real estate market. So if you're a homeowner thinking about selling, your recency bias may be, yeah, but all this inventory is hitting the market. No, it shifted. Real estate in Delray Beach is now shifting away from that narrative, that recent bias, and it's actually changing. So if you're a seller, you might want to think to yourself going, wow, maybe prices will start strengthening because less inventory is hitting the market. That's a great example about recency bias. Now coming up on number two, I want to talk about is listing prices and how they are falling. And you don't believe me? Well, we're going to take a look at the data. Pull up the first chart. This is about median listing prices in Delray Beach. On the top left, you can see is the third quarter of last year. Basically, median listing prices were at $399,000, and then starting in Q4 or October, you see it starting to drop little by little by little to then last month, the median listing price was $300,000. So on a year-over-year basis, that's a drop of 25%. And to make the matter even better, take a look at this chart I just pulled up yesterday is about the Delray Beach market and the active listings. What's on the far right part of this chart, you can see that the median price change of active listings is 7% and the average price change is 8.72%. So if your recency bias is that, oh man, prices are still high and whatever, well, forget about that. Listing prices are falling, and that's the evidence. Okay, for you home sellers, here's number three, days on market. We talk about it every month. Look at this chart. This shows that last August, days on market bottomed at 48 days, and now last month in June, it's at 78 days. That's a 63% increase in that time frame. So if you're a seller thinking about the recent data, which is your recency bias that things were what they were, you're going to end up on this days on market if you do not price your property to sell in today's market. Now for my bonus chart, I'm giving this to you because I've been looking at YouTube and social media in a lot of places, and I'm hearing and seeing a lot of people talking about, oh, people are leaving Florida, it's a terrible place, they're moving in droves to other states. I don't know. I'm still looking at the data and coming up with decisions based on the information I see. So look at this map. This shows a map of people who are clicking on moving to states or moving from states. And you can clearly see there in the red, Florida is the only red state. More people are choosing to move to Florida. This one shows more than 32,000 people are searching to move to Florida. And guess what? That was in the month of May. So if you think of that over the period of a year, that's still about 360,000 people searching move to and who are moving to. The state of Florida is growing by the size of Orlando every year. And based on this evidence, if you're looking to buy, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on here. And also for sellers, you have a lot of people moving here. So even though you have a narrative that things are softening, there's still thousands and thousands of people moving to Florida. So now let's wrap up. I want to talk about the buyer-broker agreement, which goes legal nationwide. That's the day it's implemented. This is about the National Association of Realtors class action lawsuit where they lost. That happens August 17th. There's too much for me to talk about here. So to get a full detail, you can visit my website, MrDowntownDelray.com, or sign up for my free weekly e-letter. I've written a half a dozen essays about this over the last few months. That'll get you fully up to speed. But across the country, August 17th, the way buyers agents and buyers work together changes. And this is only be a good thing for the industry because professionalism is going to be elevated. Can't wait. And that's about it for this month. I'll see you next month.